Can you believe it? Only 3 years ago.
It's only 3 years. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the amount of upset and volcanic change that's occurred in that time
I
is
mean,
really phenomenal.
it is. It is. Say what you will about this moment in artificial intelligence. There's a lot of people that the second they hear that word, their eyes roll. You can practically hear the eyeballs rolling behind their eyelids. And they're like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. I'm sick of hearing about AI. And like, I hate to tell you this, but like to the technology industry has changed because of AI. And I don't think that's hyperbole either.
Not at all.
Think
Not at all.
it's proven itself at this point to be pivotal and architecturally necessary, I guess, or at least all the companies believe that it is necessary. I guess that'll prove itself over time, but I don't think it's going anywhere. And I think the fact that only 3 years ago ChatGPT was born, and yet everything on in the technology landscape looks so completely different now in its shadow.
There's a story I didn't put in the rundown today about how college students are now opting, instead of for computer science degrees, going for AI degrees, which colleges are trying to run. And I've been working on a new program at Stony Brook in AI, in technology, AI, and society. And so a lot of universities are doing this. And there was a discussion that occurred among the faculty then. And one of the people said, well, no, that's kind of, I remember a student 2 years ago quit college because he learned HTML. And he said, I can make a living making web pages. And then along came tools to make it all easier. So, that wasn't the best thing to do. And you wouldn't want to get a degree in Bitcoin. True. And one could make fun of this. And, we'll see how the long bet goes. But I think this is a lot bigger than, it's not bigger than the web. The web, I think, is a huge, huge factor in society. But I think that AI is also a huge factor in society. And so hats off to ChatGPT. They blew the lid off of all this when they did it. And they've been the leader. Will they stay the leader?
That's, I think, a real big question. Something we continue to talk about is, either the bubble or the ChatGPT bubble. I think we said a couple of weeks ago, maybe it's not an AI bubble, maybe it's a ChatGPT
or
bubble.
An LLM bubble,
or an LLM bubble. Where's
generative
the bubble?
AI bubble?
We're bubble spotting.
Yeah. But then there's also if you go to the ChatGPT bubble, it's OpenAI is scared right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear. Altman issued a code red memo to the staff because I think that Google's advances are tangible and real. And I think it freaked them out a bit. And Google's doing, what's fascinating about Google is they're doing it across multiple domains in AI, right? They've done great. They invented the structure for generative AI through Transformer. B, their models are now getting raves. Their applications out of that, like Nano Banana, are getting raves. They're a hosting company like AWS and like Microsoft at huge scale. And as we'll talk about in a few minutes, Google has chips.
Yeah, they have the chips.
And so there are those who are saying, no, OpenAI is still ahead. It's going to stay ahead. No. But I think that people are starting to question whether OpenAI will still be taking the oxygen out of the room. What's your bet?
Yeah.
What do you think in the next year? From a year from now, in our episode 201,
will OpenAI still be a big deal at episode 200?
Well, so. Or will it still be the leader, or will we be talking about
That's
Netscape?
A different question.
Is it Netscape?
Yeah. No, man, I have a real hard time believing that ChatGPT would end up or OpenAI would end up in the Netscape category. But I guess at the time when Netscape was flying high, you wouldn't have guessed that either. I don't know. I think they've done a lot to prove themselves and everything over the last couple of years. Doesn't mean that it's a guarantee, but they have created a lot of relationships. I guess I would say that I think that it would take a pretty large, epic-sized failure for OpenAI to be completely doomed. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's necessarily impossible. We were talking pre-show about the circular financing of everything and how much of a house of cards that could be potentially. But I don't know, because then I look at companies like Napster and, these other companies that, granted, it's a, AOL, it's a shell of what it once was, but it didn't go away entirely. I just have a hard time believing that OpenAI would go away entirely, unless they really, really fumble.
Let me look up and see what Alta Vista has to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to count OpenAI out by no means. However, I think a few things are very challenging to them. One is on the road that they're on, they have to keep investing.
Yeah.
And this is where the circular deals come from. And so that's a question. Number two is there is competition that is very real. And we keep on talking about how they leapfrog each other. So the advantage they have is short-lived. And then three is our friend Jan LeCun out there, or somebody else like him, who goes to the next paradigm after the neural nets and the LLMs that we have today. So
as Jan LeCun goes in that direction, and as Meta kind of goes along with Jan and his effort, because
if he does,
sort of a partnership. If they do, yeah, that's right. I guess we don't know that for certain, but if that were to happen, I mean, I would also see OpenAI exploring that for itself too. Like, I feel like they all travel in packs. It's like,
yeah, they do.
When there's a trend and one of them spots the trend, they all move in that direction to make sure that they're covered on that trend in case that trend, it really is a big deal. And I don't know. I guess I assume that OpenAI would probably do that too.
Well, I think Google and OpenAI are in that same pack. They're in that same pack of wolves where they're chasing LLM scale, and they think that's going to get them there.
Yeah.
That's why Jan interests me so much, is because he's going elsewhere. He's not the only one, but he's I think the most visible one. And so as ChatGPT was 3 years ago, this is why this comes to mind, is there a chance for another paradigmatic, wow, that could come from some other structure that makes everybody who's in this pack look like frail old wolves as along comes I don't know where this metaphor is going to go, so I'll stop it.
Yeah. But I get where you're coming from.
Here come the elephants. I don't know. So it's interesting. It's just fascinating to watch. So if you consider the change we've seen in 3 years, God knows what comes in the next year or 2 or 3 years.
Totally. And you put in an article, Business Insider article, which I thought, it was not that long ago that the Will Smith eating spaghetti, like this is the quality of Will Smith eating spaghetti 2.5 years ago.
Which is pretty amazing. And 2.5 years ago, we were pretty amazed. It was freaky, but it was funny.
Like an alien life form.
But it was pretty amazing when you get down to it.
Alternate universe, and yet now, where is the video? I swear I just said play it, and now it's not playing. Let's see here. I'll try and click through. You won't get any audio, if there is even any audio, but now we've got Will Smith eating spaghetti like it's actual spaghetti, and boy, it's getting closer and closer to reality. And that was only a couple of years ago. That's just video. That's one aspect of all of this, but it's a pretty easy one to take a look at and be like, man, we've come so far.
It's still flawed. Steam is coming out of his mouth. He eats spaghetti and none goes away. We can criticize it, but it's a hell of a lot better than freaky alien Will Smith from 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
And I mean, a couple of years prior to that, like I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but the deep, what was it? It wasn't deep. It's obvious. Clearly it's not deep fake. It was deep something back in like 2017, 2018. And it was the image generation. Everything looked really psychedelic and sort of like it was generating something, but still very wrong, but getting closer to something. And everything, everything had millions of eyes, deep something. I'm totally blanking on the name. But anyways, that was just a few years before that, right? And so when we're looking at this,
they solved things. It couldn't. This stuff couldn't handle text at all. Now it handles text very well. Nano Banana is amazing at it. They keep on solving the problems.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was deep something. It'll come to me when we stop thinking about it, or someone in chat will know
Yeah.
what the heck I'm talking about, going on and on about. Um, and did you already mention the fact that like Google had its own code red a couple of years ago? I don't
No,
think
I didn't.
No, we didn't mention that. That's another really
That's
interesting thing about
yeah.
that too, is that just a couple of years ago, Google recognized, oh shoot, we've got OpenAI and other, newcomers out Googling us when it comes to AI. We should have been the ones to do this. And they really had to kind of really shift things around. And I mean, by all accounts, a couple of years later, it seems like that worked. Google's no longer, much less the target of, oh, wow, you were here so early. Like, why aren't you the ones reaping all the rewards here? Why are other, incumbents doing it? And I don't know, tables seem to possibly be shifting at least a little bit as far as that's concerned.
So 6 months, Google stock is up from 170 to today 316, which is pretty amazing.
Up 316.
Well, I mean, the other angle to this is this that the rich always get richer, the big always get bigger.
Yeah, right.
Does this mean that this is the hegemony of the legacy, air quotes around the big guys, Google and probably Amazon, will win every time or not?
Right.
Then there's Apple.